Back in lovely Arab, Alabama with Coach Kyle Routon. And Coach, last week you guys took on Madison Academy. It's a very good football team, and usually make perennial playoff runs in 4A, but come up a little bit short. But just kind of take us back to last week on how it all transpired.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back a little further than Friday night. We it's kind of I had a little blow up with them on the in the weight room, and we just kind of started slipping on doing some little things like our lockers, keeping our lockers the way they're supposed to be, wearing the right shirt in the weight room on the days they're supposed to wear them, and then at halftime, that's basically what I told them. We were down a couple scores at halftime, and we had busted some assignments defensively, and we're down 28-14. And that's basically what I was talking about, and kind of went back to the couple things we had to call out during the week about just not doing the little things right, and that's basically what happened in the first half. And so we battled in the second half. We came out. We were able to kind of chip away, and we ended up losing by a touchdown. And really, I feel like we had a little bit more time because we kind of got rolling in the second half, just a little too late. Offense played really good all night. We had a turnover that was costly, and we had a couple holding penalties that stalled some drives. In the second half, we had about a 30-yard run that would have taken us inside the 20, and it gets called back for a holding, and we ended up having a punt on that drive. It's just some things like that offensively that kind of hurt us, but overall played well. Offensive line played well. We were still out our starting running back, but the two guys that came in and filled in for him, they ran the ball well. And then our quarterback, kind of an unexpected thing coming into the season, losing Puccio. You don't think your quarterback run game is going to be as good, but Nick's done a really good job over the last 3 or 4 weeks of kind of proving that he's not just an adequate runner but a good runner. So that's only going to help our offense. We made a couple plays downfield. That was big for us. We had 2 catches over 30 yards, and that's something we'd kind of been missing. Trying to piece it in there and find ways to make explosive plays, and we were able to do that last Friday night. But defensively, we just didn't play. We didn't play to our level of football, and whenever you don't do that against a good team with good athletes, you're going to give up a lot of points and put yourself in a bind, and so that's what we did. So this week we got back to focusing on doing little things right. I talked to the coaches the other day. I feel like the kids really responded to that. We haven't really had to, as far as upperclassmen, I hadn't really had to get on to them about lockers. I haven't had to tell anybody they've had the wrong shirt on or anything like that. Everybody's been where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. So I think it was a good, it's never good to lose. I think it was a good wake-up call for a lot of our guys, just as far as like having to do the little things. And, we go back to the beginning of the season. We talked to the team, and actually our defense coordinator is the one that brought it up, talked about how long is it going to take until you fall back to being average. And I feel like that's kind of what we did last week. We just kind of fell back to just the average, get through the day. And that bit us on Friday night. So I think it's a good wake-up call for the guys kind of headed into this second half of the season in region play with a few games left.
Dude, you hear coaches a lot of times say that, and I know kids and parents and fans think it's coach talk, so to speak. Not doing the little things during the week will get you beat. Dive into that for just a second. That is real as it gets, and you can see it at practice. You can see it developing and happening during the week. And then you have to remind them on Friday, hey, we already talked about this. This is why we're in this situation. That's actually real. Tell people, explain that to people.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a good explanation for it or not.
But it's real.
But the experience I've had over the coaching years, it shows up just about every time. And, sometimes you're fortunate and come away with a win. But I think, whenever you're able to do that, sometimes it still gets overshadowed a little bit. And so we could look back on this week and it be that 35-27 loss be the best thing that's happened to us.
Right.
But it just transitions to me. It goes back to the I don't know if you've seen where the Navy SEAL gives the graduation speech at Texas.
I hadn't seen it.
But he says if you can't do the little things, how do you expect to do the big things?
That's true. That's a fact.
That's basically what it came down to.
That's a fact.
So
now moving forward, that every game means something. They wouldn't keep score, but in the grand scheme of things, getting in the playoffs, things like that, it doesn't hurt you from a region standpoint, but could from a tiebreaker standpoint.
Yeah, tiebreaker standpoint, it could hurt us. But it's water under the bridge now. We're sitting at 3-3, 2-1 in the region. Got some tough region opponents coming up to get ourselves in the playoffs and get ready to go from there. So, I mean, it's a big week.
This Douglas team you're about to play is much improved. It seems like he's getting a little bit better each and every year over there. But when you turn on the film of Douglas, I've watched some highlights. They've got some guys over there that are really good athletes.
Yeah, they do. They've got some athletes. And, his son, he's a heck of a football player on offense and defense. I feel like every clip I watched of opposing offenses against Douglas, I feel like Lyles was in on every tackle. I mean, he's somebody. He's a special player. He's a hard-nosed, gritty kid, and then offensively he makes plays. They've got the receiver that's really good. He's a really dynamic player. Still young, just a sophomore, but he's made some highlight reel catches. So I mean, we're gonna have to know where he's at, and then they've got a couple other kids. 23. He's a really fast, skill player. And then up front, I think they're vastly improved from last year. That was what had, I think, kind of held them back a little last year, was just the front. I just don't think they were very strong up front, and they've definitely kind of turned that around a little bit. And so they're better up front. So, I mean, it's going on the road in region, playing some really good athletes, a much improved team. They've got momentum. They're coming off a big win, it's going to be a test. It's going to be a war for sure.
For sure, and then they're in the county with you guys as well, so it's going to be a lot of people there, people that know each other. But talk about how important it is to get off to a fast start. You don't want to play behind the chain, so to speak, in the game. You want to set the tempo yourself in this game like this.
Yeah, especially on the road. Of course, every week you want to start fast and you want to stay through the game and all that. I think it's really important, especially defensively for us this week. Not coming off a not so great game. I think it's really important for our guys to get out there and make some plays early and get some stops. And kind of get that swagger back a little bit on defense, because that's something I feel like kind of lulled last week once they busted a couple big runs on us, and so I think it's really important for our defense to come out. And then offensively, it's always, a 3-and-out to start the game is always, it's never good. And so to come out and get some first downs and hopefully, we got another lineman stepping back in again after, our center went down. He broke his ankle on Friday night. I think it was on our last touchdown drive. We got inside about the 20, and he broke his ankle, and we ended up punching it in. Yeah, I think he just got rolled up in the pile, and it was sloppy conditions. The field was real wet and kind of tore up a little bit, but and which hats off to that kid. He's got a collarbone issue, so he was out for a couple weeks. He came back about 3 weeks early to play against Guntersville. He's played the last couple weeks with that shoulder, still banged up, and then he breaks his ankle. So he's had a tough go at it, but tough kid. He'll bounce back for sure. So we'll have a little different front to start this game. The good news for us is we're going to get number 3 back, Luke Hudson. So we expect him to have a big game and be kind of a momentum booster in a way. Because in the Guntersville game, he started the game with about a 60-yard run that kind of got us rolling for the game. He ended up going out in the first quarter, but it's just really big for our offense to have him back, and it'll be big for us to start fast there too.
No doubt. And then, Coach, talk about the maturity level of these guys. You're starting a lot of guys that are young, across the board, both sides of the ball, but the maturity level at this point, they're not really. They're
not young anymore.
They're not young anymore. They've been under fire, so to speak.
That's right.
But just talk about the maturity level and what you've seen from these younger guys.
Yeah, you always worry going into the year when you got a lot of young guys starting. But whenever you get midway through the season, they should be turned into a seasoned veteran, so to speak. even if they still can't drive, they got the experience. They've got the experience on Friday night, and they've been through the practices with the ones and getting the reps and kind of that swagger I was talking about with defense. Kind of those young guys, early they seem a little more timid, a little more slower kind of to react to certain plays, and then as they get that Friday night experience, that starts changing a little bit. You see them kind of growing up
absolutely
during the season. So that's been good. We've had several do that, offensively and defensively, and we still start the same amount of sophomores, but I don't really look at them as sophomores anymore.
Yeah, no, they're not sophomores anymore. I mean, you could. By class, you could say that, but they're seasoned. Last thing, Coach, before I shut it down, I always like to leave it with final thoughts. Anything you'd like to talk about?
I really touched on it in the beginning. Just doing the little things right. That's kind of what we preached this week, and it falls back on us as coaches too. Just maybe not keeping our thumb down on them as much as we should, which that definitely changed this week, like I said, just getting that swagger back defensively. Going over to Douglas, it's going to be a tough road test. I've compared this season a few times to a couple years ago, and we went over there early a few years ago and got into a war with them. 21-14, we were able to come out with a win, and I really expect the same thing this week. Is just get over there and have to fight a 4-quarter game, and we'll just got to make sure we're disciplined and focusing on our job and our responsibility offensively and defensively, because when you draw a play up, you don't draw it up with 10 people on the field. You draw it up with 11, so all 11's got to do their job.
And then if you get through this one here, you got an off week to kind of lick your wounds.
Yeah, maybe we can we'll see what kind of rest we need and what we need to do after this Friday with Douglas, and then we'll get into that off week and see what we need to do.
Those are always good to see how you approach those. But, Coach, appreciate you sitting in with us, and good luck to you guys on Friday.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.